check. Hello. Welcome back to Evil Scuba Diver, but in all honesty, we're kind of just regular Scuba Diver today, because we're talking about Mecha-Robo Timeline, which is the album I made as Scuba Diver 3 years ago, this season, June time. That's when it released, at least. I worked on Mecha-Robo Timeline for, I think, 5 to 6 months. I started the first demos of that album in, like, December of 2022, directly after finishing the Nation EP, because I was really sort of like uninterested and very bored with rapping. I didn't really like rapping anymore. I wanted to just make a world. I wanted to make a psychedelic, expansive, just texture fest. And for 5 months, I kind of just put all my chips into that basket and wanted to make music that I could stand on. I didn't want to be embarrassed by it. I remember when the Nation EP released, even on the day of its release, I was kind of embarrassed by it, because it wasn't like authentically what I wanted to make. I wanted to make something more personal and authentic, and not just like, oh, braggadocio, cool beat, cool rap. You know, for like all of 2022, I was sort of chasing like the coolest beat and the coolest rap, like after riding the high of Godspeed 2 and the singles after that doing so well. But then by the time you get to the end of the year, it's like, oh, well, I chased this thing for so long, and now I don't even really want it anymore. What the hell's that about? Why? What's that paradox going on? Mecha-Robo Timeline, though, was my savior. It was like my authenticity actualizer. It was like, okay, this is what you want to make. You want to make music where there's not even choruses on songs like, you know, Brave New World or something like that. You just want to make tunes. It was the first album really in my entire discography where I really just said, I'm just going to make what I want to make. You know what I mean? I don't care what anybody else is going to think about this. I don't care what people think of my voice, my mix, my style, my production, my like song structure. I'm going to make what I want to make. And it was so freeing, and it fell off of the page in terms of like crafting it in the DAW. Like it was just like, I mean, it was just one song after the other, just like bam, bam, bam. Okay, new idea, restructure, mix tweak, production tweak. Well, it didn't really matter. It didn't really feel like even tweaking anything. It felt like just creating, which is the same spirit that I'm in right now making this next album. And it's actually the reason I can juggle Evil Scuba Diver in university and the gym schedule and producing this album and making new stuff on the side as well, helping other people with their projects, mixing and mastering stuff for client work. Like, there's a reason I can balance all this. It's because it's all coming from a sense of like, I want to do this. Like, there's nothing in my schedule, there's nothing throughout my day that I loathe doing. Everything serves me, and I've found this rhythm, and I'm not letting go, bro. I'm not letting go, because that's all we got. All we got's our rhythms. All we got is our creative actualization. Big yap for the intro there, but basically what we're doing is we got a Q&A going on here for the 3-year anniversary of Mecha-Robo Timeline. So we're gonna pull up your questions and answer them right now. A lot of variety in these questions, just looking at them right here. Do you have any songs you made that you hate now? Not really, to be honest. I can't say like I truly hate anything I've made. I could say I'm kind of disappointed at like how stuff came out, listening back to it with like more mature ears, etc. But nothing I truly loathe or hate. Like, I'm very appreciative for everything I made. Even my first song, Tomorrow, off of Apple Cider Ranch, like, I can listen back to that and be like, you know what? That's kind of a fun pop, janky, mixed lo-fi tune. You know what I mean? There's always appreciation. There's always a sense of appreciation. But nothing I truly hate. Just stuff I'm disappointed by, mix-wise or master-wise, or like I should have spent more time on it, etc. And that's why, you know, the music I'm making now is taking a bit longer, is because I really do appreciate it. I really do love it, and I want it to sound exactly how I know it can if I just take my time. Because a lot of these songs, man, I'll listen back to them, I'll say like, I could have given that one more week of real attention and care and made it like 10 times better, at least to me, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm not jumping the gun. I'm literally taking my time with my art now, and it's a very secure place to be. It's not feel like you have to rush anything, because you have like a bunch of different creative ventures swirling all around you, right? Evil Scuba Diver has been really helpful for that, because I still like getting stuff out creatively, whether it's like a video or just talking about something or an opinion, something for the short term, just like output, and then I can really hone like the beauty of my long-term discography fixation, which is still very much the forefront of my life energy. Maybe it's not like good to think of myself as like a David Lynch-ass persona at like 21 years old, but I truly don't think this passion is going anywhere. It's in my head every morning when I wake up, almost like a disease or like a language, right? I can't think any different way except for music and experience and talking about like just just like art, to be honest. Like art is inherent to me as like breathing is. Like it's subconscious. Like it's just part of my neurons. I don't know how to escape it. I don't want to escape it. Big Yap, that's why we're here. Thank you for the question. When we get in the experimental gym EP, so I think I talked about this in a live stream one time. I said that you know, I really do like going to the gym. I had my weight loss journey, and now I'm having my sort of just like gym, or I just like the gym. Gym's fun. But I had this idea for an album I would do where I would take Tren or take Testosterone or something for like 5 months, make an album and like a pseudo documentary like satire series on YouTube for 5 months, where I just like hit the gym with y'all for 5 months while making beats and music. And then at the end of 5 months, once I gained like 50 pounds or something, I would have dropped the album, which would be titled Gym Music. That was the ideation in my head, and I think I got high off that ideation in a live stream one time and just yapped my ass off about the idea. It's still very much in my head. However, I want to actually just like finish ideas that are more potent and done. There's other stuff that is like 90% done, complete, that is like not even an idea anymore. It just exists and it needs to be heard. It needs to be finished up and polished over and like given to y'all. So that'll come first before we get heavy and heady and extreme with all our different, you know, different concepts, different albums, etc. Plus, it's probably not good to talk about stuff before it happens, because then you get high off the ideation and you feel like you already released the idea, which is something I've dealt with before, and I don't like that feeling, because you don't get the idea out and you talk about the idea being out and you get high off that dopamine hit, and then, you know, 2 months passes and it's like, oh, I didn't finish that idea. Like, it's not cool. It's not a place I want to be in. It's something I'm actively working on. So if I can just get that lesson down like when I'm 21 or something, I think it'll be pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I just like don't talk too much before you do much, if that makes any sense. You'll hear it when you hear it. Do you struggle with getting over the hump of finishing songs? How do you handle it? Yeah, I do. I'm in the fine details, but I'm also in the macro picture, because I do the transitions, I do the album covers. I literally do everything. 100% of everything I ever put out is done by me. So it's very easy to either get lost in the ego of like, does this represent me? Am I proud of this? Or just get lost in the details, lost in the weeds of like all the work that needs to be done to get something to where I want it to be. Also, there's like the skill ceiling thing, there's the time ceiling thing, there's the fact that I'm ADD and like I have hyper interest in everything under the sun. So some days I won't even work on music for like 3 days because I'm busy like editing like a random evil scuba diver video, like everything I listened to in February, bro. I spent 3 days on that edit just because I liked the visual style of that video. Like it doesn't even matter. Nobody even cares. But to me, it was like soul affirming. You know, there were days when I was making Godspeed 2 that I just like spent a week making a geometry dash level out of nowhere. Just was like, it wasn't even part of the program. Just did it. But like it fueled creatively more momentum to finish the mixes of that album. I really what I've learned is like, if you're a solo artist, or really if you're just me, I can't really speak for a solo artist, but I can speak for myself as a machine. I really what I've learned is like, if I want to finish an idea, I have to like give myself some grace in taking my time with it. Because I used to be in my head of like, if you don't get this done by this certain due date, you're worthless. And I'd tell myself that over and over and over again, and the due date would come and it still wouldn't be finished, no matter how hard I stressed myself out, no matter how hard I quote unquote focused. And it was like, dude, like, why are you focusing on something that is supposed to be joyful? You know, like this is all a joy thing at the end of the day. You're trying to bring an audience a certain energy. I know a lot of creatives struggle with that too. We live in a very like hyper, you know, attentive environment, probably the most dopamine gamed, insane attention deficit environment of all time in human history. Like, it is very easy to get distracted and just like work on a different project for like 5 days when you should be locking in on this thing or whatever. But what I've learned after making like 5 albums, finishing up the 6th right now, is that you just have to decide when you're done. So it's one thing to be creative and make something you enjoy, but it's a completely opposite experience to make something creative and execute it for everybody to enjoy the most. You know what I mean? We can enchant ourselves very easily as people who love and create art, but it's another thing to be the enchanter, to be the wizard. You have to craft the potion without getting high off of it. You know, that's a skill. That's a skill set you have to learn. You can't be so emotional with your work. You can't look at your work as some grand opus all the time. Sometimes you just have to look at it as organized sound that needs to be honed. That's just like, you got to put yourself in a different pockets of mentality. Tyler, the Creator, had a quote, create like a child, edit like a scientist. That's a beautiful way to do it. But also sometimes edit like a child as well, because editing is creation in a certain respect if you think of it that way. Like, what is mixing if not just production too? Making stuff like 10 to 15% better. Also, nothing is truly finished. It's just when you decide it is. So just like decide it is when you feel it's ready. Your gut will tell you when it's like, I think I'm done with this. I think I actually like this. Wait a minute. I think we might be done. And then you're done. It always helps to leave it in the files for 2 weeks to work on other stuff and then come back to it with a fresh pair of ears after 2 more weeks of like artistic creation has informed you about what the thing you made in the past needs, right? Like that's very helpful as well. What is the overall story of the album? To me, the story is about a main protagonist who lives in a sort of dystopian Brave New World technological environment and is kind of glazed over by just the era in which he lives in. It just keeps getting worse. The future keeps getting darker and grayer and more purgatorial. Throughout the album, he's like confronting giant Coca-Cola advertisements floating in the sky. He's confronting this like weird pseudo businessman who keeps approaching him with a contract to like go back to his past. Just around every corner, there's people trying to sell distractions and escapism, trying to profit off of the fact that like, yeah, this world sucks. Don't you want to get away from it? Pay me, please. You know, like that. I don't know. It was kind of an allegory for just real life, I guess, to some sort of extent, just like some heightened version of real life. And throughout the album, you just have a progression of somebody, you know, trying to navigate this dilapidated dystopian environment. You know, you start out in Brave New World and you end up with Dance House. Really is technically kind of the last song of the album. It's basically just saying like, keep on going. What can you do? What can you do when you're subject to your environment that you can't control? You just keep on going. And then I love the outro again, which is basically this like happy, super optimistic outro, basically saying like hope. You know what I mean? Hope is the only answer. Like I could have ended that album with like a 5-minute ambient depressive little outro thing, but I wanted to end it with hope. I wanted to end it with like the sun and the clouds, because that's really all you have at the end of the day in whatever environment you're in, is like your mindset, your hope, how you think about the world. What do you see the beauty in the world or do you not? That's really all it comes down to at the end of the day, no matter what your environment is. Optimistic or pessimistic, you make the decision. You know, you can either despair or you can be extremely jovial. Each one is equally delusional because nobody else is going to feel the same way as you. You have to choose. And if I had to choose, I would choose, you know, optimistic delusion over depression every single time. That's my delusion of choice. That's the delusion of choice I decided to go with the album and how it arcs. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. One of my top 3 albums of all time. It's so layered and wavy. What emotion did you go into before its creation? I'm guessing that's what that comment ends off on. Emotionally, I felt really free when I was making that album. It was the first album I made where I was like, I don't have to rap. Like I had to force my voice in order to not be corny, or a song needed to have a rap verse in it for it to be considered like interesting or something like that. And it was really like, dude, no, like you can do whatever you want. Like, why are you holding yourself to these arbitrary rules in your own head? I remember making and producing the song Brave New World and like being really anxious and nervous that the song didn't have a chorus or a hook. I was like, are people gonna like this? And then I literally stopped myself in the middle of that thought and I said, wait a minute, dude, you like it. That's the whole point. You don't care if this song has a hook or a chorus. You like the way it flows. And that was the click. That was it. It was like that simple. And then like for the next like 4 months of making the album, it was just like freedom. It was like, if you like it, then it works, and that's all that you need. You know what I mean? Like that I don't know. It was just very beautiful to me. Please either break down or explain in great detail the magic and mystery of In the Blink of an Eye and its music video. I remember just wanting to produce a really simple pop song and just make it sound distorted and crazy and grainy. I wanted to make it sound like a glitzy disco ball. That's how I really pictured it in my head, was like the idea of a disco ball in like a VCR 90s kind of camera, like all the shine, all the grit, all the grain and the glamour of it. And I was in the, you know, ideation of like, if I like it, then it works, and that's all that needs to happen. So I mixed it in a way that I wanted to hear. It's very lo-fi and very, you know, bright and grainy, but I love it. Like, it's not the same song if I didn't make it that way. And the music video is kind of the same way. I just kind of recorded a bunch of stuff, layered a bunch of stuff, found my favorite images, and just like made a giant hodgepodge collective of different layers and textures and grains, and then ran it all through filters, ran it all through different lens flares, literally just like bouncing the music video like 6 or 7 different times, and then just adding more effects and more layers on top and on top, like just caking it with just different dopamine hits of interesting textures, simply because I liked the way it kept looking every time I added something to it. This was definitely not no minimalism, less is more. In the blink of an eye music video is me just having fun packing whatever the hell I could, like a mud pie of just videoed shit. So I just like the lyrics of that song, man. That song lyrically is just about, like, you know, time is gonna pass, stuff is gonna change in the blink of an eye. Might as well embrace that, you know. Might as well embrace the change. Might as well, you know, see what we can do. You know, I'm gonna be here anyways. And also just like the overarching theme of, like, if time changes, if stuff is going to change inevitably, you know, do I stay apathetic or do I embrace it? You know, there's only two ways to take that in. Both the choruses kind of reflect those different ways of taking that in. You know, the first one is like, the future is a giant nihilistic party and we're only starting. It's like, okay, we're going in towards a insane sort of future here. Let's give into it. Let's treat it like a party almost. Like that kind of mindset. Let's run with this. The second chorus, it's like, thank you all for sitting there and doing something, doing nothing, sitting, doing something, doing nothing, doing something. Just like apathy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, you either are apathetic about the situation or you embrace it. And I don't know. Some days I choose apathy, not because I want to, mostly because I'm like an unconscious being sometimes. And I don't know. I wish I could choose exuberance every single day of my entire life. But truth is, man, like, I'll slip into like some unconscious apathy pretty hard, more regularly than I'd like to admit, to be honest. I don't like being apathetic, but, you know, sometimes you're like just low energy and you can make excuses or whatever, but really it's like life is full of joy and we lose it. We lose it so simply. And it's really sad and unfortunate, but that's how it is. I'm pretty lost as a beginner producer right now. How did you improve and stay motivated when starting? I never really doubted myself when I first started. I always just thought that what I was making was like the coolest thing ever. Because like in the back of my head, I always had this ideation. Every time I'd listen to a song, I'd be like, you could make that so much cooler. Like, why are we playing by the rules so hard? You know, like, why not beat switch it? Why be boring? Like, why be boring was really the main question in my head every time I would listen to a song. Is like you could make this so much more interesting. All you have to do is want to make it interesting. Like, to me, in the back of my head, I was always like, dude, like, you have all these eyes on you. You have all the opportunity in the world to stunt out and give people a beautiful experience, and you're telling me you like cut that short, like you punched down almost, like you didn't give people like truly an amusement park ride of an experience. Like, you have the ability to, in every given moment when you open up your DAW, you have the ability to make legitimately the most beautiful, entrancing moment for somebody to listen to in the future possible. And you're telling me you don't shoot for that every single time? Like, that was just like how I started when I made music. So everything I did, I tried to make it as interesting as possible for myself. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even thinking about like for myself. I was like, how can I make something as interesting as possible? There was no sense of audience. There was no sense of me. It was just like, I want to make something super duper cool. You know, like, not even in my perspective or just in other audience perspective, but just like, I don't know, just like obviously, something so obviously interesting. Anybody could listen to it and point to it and be like, yeah, that's interesting. They could say it's good, it's bad, but they could not deny it was interesting, and it got them to be like, oh, you know, like, that was always just my guiding light. A big piece of advice is that if you find yourself doom scrolling on YouTube video essays for like the third night in a row to relax, you have like an obligation to go and watch a foreign black and white 1940s movie or something in subtitles. Like, you just have to. You have to keep yourself like creatively inspired in order for you to be creatively inspired and inspirational yourself. The fact of the matter is, if you want to be a producer, you also have to figure out how to be a good consumer. You know what I mean? Sometimes that means just being really intentional with what you consume. Sometimes that just means not consuming. Sometimes it means just overindulging in whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting equation. Just do what you like, do what you love, and the energy will just flow naturally. You know what I mean? Like, if you find yourself really second guessing yourself or overthinking your own art, that's when you need to stop and chill out, because art is completely subjective and it should serve you. The second your art is not serving you, you know there's a cognitive dissonance that needs to be worked out. What's been your drive for creating? Just always wanted to, man. Just always wanted to. If I had to really like psychoanalyze myself, like I was Freud or something, or I don't know, I was being studied by like George Jordan Peterson. I think it has to come from the fact that I grew up very obese and outcasted and kind of lonely. And I grew up in a very boring environment of Indiana where there's nothing but cornfields and Walmart parking lots. And I had to be imaginative. I had to do stuff on my own. And then as I got older, it got to the point where it was like, well, what's stopping me from being somebody who creates the aesthetic? I remember specifically being like 16 before I really even made any music and looking at Kanye and looking at Tyler the Creator and being like, okay, these guys are objectively awesome. What are they doing that I couldn't do? Like Devil in the New Dress is like 3 elements. It's like a good rapping verse, it's good charisma, and it's a good beat, and it's a cool guitar solo. Like anybody could create that if you just analyze the elements going into it and then do it. You know, like it didn't seem hard to me to make a good album or a good piece of work or a good something because I already knew what I liked. So it was just about doing what I liked. There's that Quentin Tarantino quote, like, if you want to make a good movie, you can't help but make a good movie. You know what I mean? Like if you're making it, if you're the mind behind it, why are you worried? Like, what are you worried about? You are you. You know what you like, and what you like is legitimately why you're here. Like why you're supposed to make the movie, right? And I don't know. I think I create because I like other stuff that's created, and I know that it could be done. I could make it cooler to myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but if I see a piece of art or I see a movie or I see or I hear a piece of music or something and I like it, there's always something in the back of my head that's like, oh, but if I made that, I could do it better, I think, in my own way. And not better objectively, but better to me. Like I would make that cooler. I would make that I would, and that is, I think that is really why I keep creating, is like there's this itch to like make stuff I think is just the coolest. You know what I mean? And what I think is the coolest is objectively cooler than anything else that exists in the world because it's everything I like. So everyday creating is basically just making the coolest thing I can possibly think of. And that's pretty interesting. I think that's a pretty cool way of looking at it. I'm not sure. Definitely keeps me going though. How do you feel your vocal style has evolved throughout your time making music? I feel, short answer, I feel like it's gotten way better. I remember when I first started out, I didn't care about my vocal style because I just cared about production. Honestly, like stuff on Apple Cider Ranch and Stealing Traffic Cones, I simply just wasn't thinking about how I was going to be perceived. Then in Godspeed 2, throughout 2022, I started thinking about how my vocal delivery was being perceived. I started forcing my voice a bit more to be more confident. Then that kind of lost its luster and I realized I wasn't being authentic, and then Mecha-Robo hit and it was like, okay, time to be authentic. I'm just going to sing how I want to sing, mix how I want to mix, produce how I want to produce, and that just kind of fell into place. Double Rainbow Land, I kind of removed myself from the vocal process entirely. Like that was a production album and I only did vocals when I wanted to. And this next album is just authentically, I think I just figured myself out. I don't know if that'll make sense until you hear it, but I just, this next album, this next project is just authentically me. There's nothing really much more I can say about it. Like there's no doubt in my mind that everything I put in the DAW, every piece of sound, every sonic landscape, it's just authentically me. There's nothing about it that screams like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this. I just did. Like I just did what I wanted to do. And then I was also objective with myself and like, okay, how will this be translated? Not from like a self-aware, self-conscious perspective, but from like I have something really good here. How can I make it as good for people to listen to as I feel it is for me right now? In my past music, I'd pitch my vocals up a lot, like a lot. And people might take it as insecurity. Sometimes maybe it was insecurity, but really for the most part, it was just like I liked sounding meek. I liked sounding kind of feminine and like vulnerable more with +4 format, especially on a song like Drive Another Day or like Alligator or something off of Godspeed 2. Just like, I don't know, it just served the song. Really, the times where I was forcing my confident voice the most is when you knew I was probably the most insecure. So I'm thinking about like verses on like Steer Clear or maybe even Third Person Prayer to a certain extent, even though I listen back to that song and think the vocal delivery is actually pretty fine. It was probably coming from a place of insecurity, like I need to sound harder. So instead of going like, I pray your headphones never die because they have safety net, it's like, I pray your headphones never die because they have safety net. Like that was kind of how I was approaching it back then. But it worked, like it works for that song, but it wasn't exactly the most authentic. Now I feel like I'm in a very authentic authentic mode of creation, which is like hibbity bibbity bibbity boop. Like, doesn't really matter. Authenticity schmauthenticity. Does the song sound good? I don't know. That's up to whoever listens to it. It doesn't matter how authentic your piece of shit is if it's a piece of shit, right? So at the end of the day, if it serves the song, it serves the song. But I don't know. I feel like I've just gained a lot of confidence in who I am. Not confidence in like I'm the shit, but confidence in like I'm actually not the shit. I'm just me, and that's okay. You know, I feel like that's the evolution, the healthy evolution that artists should probably trend towards. If you're young and you're putting yourself out there. I don't know. Just me personally. Do you have interest in scoring movies? Yes. A lot of times when I'm producing songs, I have like an image in my mind already that I'm chasing. So having a movie already built and then I just chase the vibe of that movie would be really, really cool too. Just like momentum, linear progression, story, etc. So I'd definitely be hella interested in that, and I think I'd be game for it. And also, you can get really simple with musical scores. You don't need to do everything under the sun. Sometimes like a good ominous drone is all you need. Sometimes like an interesting jazz loop or a piece of percussion can set the tone of a scene more than like a whole orchestral like John Williams ass piece. You know what I mean? And that actually intrigues me a lot more than like the John Williams version of making, soundtracks and stuff like that. I like soundtracks like One Battle After Another, There'll Be Blood. Even something like the Backroom soundtrack that recently just came out is really interesting. Just kind of more ambient pieces that don't even really have like a tension of a horror movie or anything, but they just diegetically set a certain vibe in the air. And like that's really cool to me. So that would probably be the route I would take my soundtracks. Or at least if I had to make a soundtrack right now, it would probably be something simple that served the story rather than like a John Williams experience. When is a piece done? When I decide it is, quite frankly. And how I decide when something's done, it's a lot of different factors. Right now it's been like when I'm satisfied, when I think it's a good song. Sometimes I'll think of a song not as a Scubadiver song, but as like a Björk song, or like I don't know, just another artist's song or something. Like if another artist made this song and I was listening to it like I was listening to their album, how would I feel about it? And that's been really helping me out in the mix and the master, etc. with this new album. Because it is my best, it's my most professional sounding, it's my most real, it's my most like fully actualized. And to get there, it took a lot of strenuous like pulling back and being like, okay, are you doing too much? Are you doing too little? Are you lying to yourself right now? Like how do you really feel about this? And really the best way you can know when something's done is authentically declaring to yourself, do I like this? Like just do I like it? Do I like how it is right now? And if the answer is yes, then that usually means it's done. If the answer is yes, but the vocals could be tweaked, then the answer is it's done, but the vocals need to be tweaked. It's that simple, really. Don't overthink it. Not everything needs to be overthunk. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff needs to be underthunk to be real. What was your inspiration for Searching? The production is just so lush. Yeah, I finished Air Defense, and Air Defense and Searching are one project file, and as I finished Air Defense, I was sort of just messing around with different chords as I was recording, just recording, like I was like, okay, what other different chord progressions can I come up with? And I happened to strum the chords on Searching, and it sounded really haunting and weird and melancholic and not exactly right, and I was like, that is really cool, and I just built on it. I built on it for like 2-3 hours impromptu, and then I just came up with it and built on it from there, added like little synths, added little acoustic guitars. I thought the bass line was really playful, but not playful in like a campy way, playful in like I don't know, like some dude sitting on a log playing bass in the middle of the woods or something type of way. In creating Searching, I just had the image of my head of just like traveling through a jungly forest on a kayak with dim light. It's like nighttime out and you're like, the sun's going down, a bunch of like flies buzzing around over the bayou water or whatever, and it's hot and kind of musty and stank out, but you're on a little rowboat rowing down a little canal in the rainforest. I don't know, it just, that's how I would describe the image of that song in my head, taking a river to a temple. Definitely like Apocalypse Now coded in my head. Also, just that song just came out really soft and intimate, and the vocals were really soft and intimate, and I just liked that cozy pocket. How much would you say your personal experiences factor into your songwriting? In the moment, I would say I don't even realize it, and then I listen back to the songs like a year later, and I'm like, damn, okay, that was legitimately me talking about my life in that moment, and I had no idea. Third Third Person Prayer was like that. Drive Another Day was like that. Pretty much every song, to be honest. Like in the moment, I don't even realize that I'm writing it about a personal experience. I just think like I'm writing a story. I'm writing like something. It's a bullshit story. This is just the energy I'm making or whatever. And then I listen back a year later and it's like, wait a minute, that was coming from a real ass place in the moment. Me and My Synths was really the one where like I knew in the moment, like this is self-indulgent, this is me, because like that song is me and my synths. Third Person Prayer is pretty up there too. Like I knew what I was doing when I was making Third Person Prayer. And a song like Monologue, which I really love. Monologue is a beautiful song lyrically to me. Some songs are lyrically just kind of bullshit to match the vibe, and because it like, you know, it's just like it feels right. It's provocative. It gets the people going. You know what I mean? I'm very much like a hell yeah. Like Punching Down is that. The song Punching Down off the Yeah EP. One of my favorite songs. Like lyrically, it makes no sense. Semicircles. That's just how she spends her time. I'd love to navigate your mind. It's gold out, sun's out, but I see lines from where you cry. Take the aux and make it right. Just like nothing. It really doesn't mean anything, but the imagery itself is so interesting, and it matches with the production in a way that just creates a more cohesive picture. Like I just love that so much, because when the production and the lyrics don't necessarily mean anything, because everything is subjective, right? Everything is subjective. Everything is just bullshit sound. Like the difference between a good song and a bad song is simply how you felt when you heard it, low key. It's just an open space for the creative person listening to it to make it a playground for their emotion. There's no actual emotion hidden within the wave file. It's like, it's the audience's creativity that makes it good, right? So that's why I really love esoteric lyrics and really weird production pieces and sound effects everywhere. It's because like it's not up to me. I'm just giving you guys the information and then you guys get to interpret it, right? That's why I love the verses on Punching Down, because even though that song, I'm spoiling it, I'm telling all, Scubadiver tells all, even though that song means literally nothing, it means so much in that. Like you can literally interpret it in a million different ways. Just the imagery sliding off at every bullshit word. It all just compounds in that weird like lo-fi milieu of a song. And yeah, beautiful. What is your favorite album? Dang, that's a really good question. If I had to go off the bat, top of my head right now, I'm gonna go Congratulations MGMT, simply because that one was just, I don't know, very informative for me creatively. It kind of taught me that you don't need to do everything perfect. It also taught me that like music really is just bullshit. Have fun with it. Like that was really what that album taught me, because that album is, there's nothing going on there. The lyrics don't mean anything. Instrumentals are weird. Everything is just out of whack, but just so creative. Wildflower by the Avalanches is also probably one of my favorite albums, simply because that one told me the diegetic power of sound effects and music is sometimes more important than the melody. You know what I mean? The song If I Was a Folk Star, like that's not even really a song so much as it is a world that happens to have melody and rhythm. And that is, I mean, that album was really the precursor for me making Double Rainbow Land. It showed me that like you can build a world out of sound as long as you like throw more sound effects than you can even comprehend into a mix. Like every sound you throw into a mix, every sound at every volume level, it's a piece of information, but not just a piece of information, it's a piece of personality. Like the certain race car sound you add, or the certain bird sound you add into your song, like what's the personality of that bird? Is it playful? Is it loud? Is it squawky? Is it fairy tale-esque? Is it like, there's so much. It really kind of, that album taught me most of all that like the elements you add into your mix, it's not about like how they fit frequency wise, it's not about how they all that. It's about like what's the personality? What do you hear like when you hear that sound? What image do you get in your head, etc.? How does all this stuff blend? Two very formative albums for me in that respect, teaching me two beautiful things about music. Congratulations is that nothing really matters. Get esoteric, get weird with it, get bullshitty, and also, you know, it's all about the personality, not about the technicals. What's the Wumbo Tumbo? Great question. The Wumbo Tumbo for me is the universe. So replace the Wumbo Tumbo with the universe, and that's about it. The unforeseen force. You could say God as well. I don't know, just whatever. We call it God, we call it the universe, we call it the harmony, the synchronicity. Just call it the Wumbo Tumbo. You could call it the splurgy durgy. It's like whatever. It's just the force. It's just like the way things go, the momentum, the energy. I don't know. It's the Wumbo Tumbo, bro. Simple as that. Language is fake. You know what I mean? Let's have fun with it. How has LP6 evolved over time? Why have you focused on EPs since Rainbow Land. LP6 has evolved a hell of a lot over time, mostly because I evolved a lot over time. And the reason I've been making EPs since Rainbow Land is simply because I've been trying to make the album this whole time, and I just couldn't because I was changing too fast. The stuff I used to gravitate towards, I wasn't gravitating towards anymore, and it was like really frustrating, so I just decided to release like EPs because I had to release something. You can't just work on like an album for 3 years and not release anything, you know what I mean? Like you can 100%, but that's not what I wanted to do. Like I still wanted to release music, but I wasn't really used to changing so much so fast. Yeah, I just wasn't used to it. I was used to like knowing who I was so concretely. But that changes when you go to college and you start living on your own and you go through physical transformation, and that leads to mental transformation, and that leads to just like, I don't know, mentality, different ways of seeing the world, different experiences. Like the last 3 years of my life have been the most experiential and informative and the best 3 years of my life of all time. It just wasn't conducive to output because I was literally, I was learning about myself so much. I had no time to just sit down and write the thesis. Like I was building out what I'm writing the thesis over, right? So now we're at a point where I've built it out. The thesis is done. LP6 is imminent here, but it took a while. It took a while, and hopefully it never takes that long again, because I'm somebody who wants to release 3 albums every year. When I think of like my favorite version of myself, that is that version of myself. Just like prolific, like an album every season, bro. But I had to take a season for myself and just grow up. Like 18 to 21, bro. Formative years. I did a lot of change. I did a lot of growth, and I had to release something. So the Yeah EPs were that, search sessions were that, and now I feel like I'm at a place where it's like, okay, I successfully came out of this like cocoon stage unscathed relatively. Now it's time to ball out again. Let's show these motherfuckers who Scubadiver really is, son. New and improved. Charmander to Charmeleon, bro. You're about to get the Charmeleon version of Scubadiver for these next like 5 years until it's Charizard time. Best fruit of all time. Now this is a really goated question. I love fruit so much. I love fruit, bro. I never used to love fruit when I was a fat ass. I just took it for granted. I took it for granted that like fruit is a dessert, bro. It's so sugary and sweet and beautiful and low calorie and good for you. A nice apple, honestly, can sometimes beat like 3 scoops of ice cream or a slice of pizza or something. I had an apple earlier. I got hyped up over it, bro. Like I love fruit. If I had to pick my favorite fruit in the moment right now, probably will be an apple. I'm not gonna lie. And they're the sugariest fruit for sure, whatever, but they're crisp and they got such an interesting texture going on too. Like what the hell is an apple? A nice juicy pear is awesome too. And I mean like a juicy pear, one where like it drips on your shirt and stuff. I hate like kind of the bitter, like bite into it, kind of like it's like a rock type of pear. I'm good with that. Been really digging cantaloupe though. Been really digging watermelon. Anything with a lot of water in it. A cucumber as well. It's not a fruit technically, but a nice cucumber is just really dope, because if you eat a whole cucumber, it's like 25 calories. I think it's like 95% water. So you're basically just eating water. It hydrates you. It's crunchy. Put some salt and pepper on it. It's just kind of like an oral fixation. It's like you're eating popcorn, but it's just water. All great. But if I had to go off the top of my dome right now, it switches like every day. A week ago it was cantaloupe. A week ago it was cantaloupe. But right now, man, it is heavily the apple. I'm in apple territory 100%. There was a period of time where it was lemons. I would eat a whole lemon, rind and all, simply because I liked the oral fixation, dude. I mean, dude, I lost 110 pounds my freshman year. You had to find ways to make taste interesting, okay? Like a lemon for dessert was a delicacy. But right now it's the apple. The apple's the best fruit of all time. It's also the fruit that brought us sin and the intuition and knowledge that comes with knowing how to sin and being shameful, which some people might take as a bad thing. But honestly, man, I think the tree of good and evil is honestly the best gift God could have given to us, because he knew we were curious and stupid enough to eat it one generation down the line. It was going to happen. Probably didn't know it was going to be Adam and Eve, the very first generation of creation he created. God probably was like, oh, we'll give him 50 generations of the mythology building up before a rapscallion eats the apple. No, Eve just went in there and took a bite off the bat. That was probably like a plot twist and a half. But think of it, bro. If she didn't eat that apple, we wouldn't have shame. And if we didn't have shame, we wouldn't have clothing. And if we didn't have clothing, we wouldn't have like textiles and like art in the way we have it, where it's like imagery on clothing and buildings and shelter and food. And we wouldn't have have violence. Like, we wouldn't have violence, but in that sense, we wouldn't have peace either. So we wouldn't really value peace. It would just be living. Like, there would be no dichotomy. There'd be no bipolarity to life. There'd be no true beauty and true evil. It would just be true. In a sense, the apple is actually the best fruit because it allowed us to have art, which is instead of stuff being linear, it's the fluctuation in the emotion of stuff being so insecure in shit. So apple, best fruit. Maybe that's an interesting perspective for y'all out there. I'm not sure. Last question. Do you feel like you make music to understand yourself or escape yourself? This one's pretty esoteric, brother. If I can be real with y'all, I don't even know if I think about it that deeply. I think I make music because I really like, I don't know, I make it because I want to hear it. I want it to exist. Like, I want to listen back to it in 3 years. I want Double Rainbow Land to exist so that I can listen to it later. I want Mecha-Robo Timeline to exist so I can listen to it later. So, I mean, if we're going by that logic, I guess I make music to find myself because it's like, you know, I'm making music for me to enjoy. And if I enjoy something, that means I am being present in my enjoyment, which means I'm being present within myself, which means I'm knowing myself and knowing what I enjoy. So I guess I'm making music to find myself, but it's not like I'm searching. Like, I know what I like and I just want to keep on making more of what I like because I can. Like, I'm here and let's keep doing it. I don't know. It's just that's the way I think of it. The reason I made albums in high school and still make albums now instead of singles is because, like, I make the one thing and then I just I'm like, I like this a lot. Let's make like 15 more of these beats. Let's make 30 more of these beats. I like this energy. I like this. I like this. I like this. And then after like 2 months of producing within that vibe, I just have an album. And it's like, oh shit. Like, I just liked something so much and just repeated doing it over and over that now I have something to show for it. And okay, let's hone this thing and let's make it real now, you know? That's the yap. That's the Q&A. I've been here for an hour 40, bro. That's my day, man. I'm gonna edit this video in between sets at the gym, I guess, to save time. Gotta love multitasking and shite. But thank you for y'all submissions. Thank you for listening to the album. Thank you for 3 years of perceiving Mecha-Robo Timeline. Thank you for damn near 5 to 6 years of perceiving me as an artist. That is absolutely wild. Like, you're the reason I exist creatively. I don't know. We could get sappy. We could get emotional. I could cry a tear for you. But that's like genuinely real spill. Like, if you guys weren't here, what would I be doing this for? For myself, for sure. But like, no one else would get to share the passion I have for my own. Like, I just be masturbating in a corner if it wasn't for y'all joining me in the circle jerk, if that analogy is not too insane for y'all. So thank you for indulging me. Thank you for hyping up my creative ideations. Thank you for accepting Scubadiver, for accepting Evil Scubadiver, for being patient with me as I figure all this out. Like, I'm going through all the milieu of life that you are, but I'm also trying to hold myself accountable to being a very creative, actualizative personality and like give y'all some really cool stuff that I think is really cool, that I think would help other people. I don't know. I'm very grateful. I'm just very grateful. There are a lot of stuff I could say, a lot of different ways to yap into oblivion here, but I just want to say I appreciate and I'm grateful for y'all. All right, I'm going to cut the video off here. I've talked enough. Thank you again. I've said that enough as well. Let's just press stop recording, or we'll say thank you till we die, because that's my type of personality, I guess. No more thank yous. Goodbye.